welcome back. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Breakfast with Dr. Kojo. This is a segment that we have not done a lot this year because we've been focusing on the late night show. But last night I missed a late night show, so that gives us an opportunity to have the Breakfast with Dr. Kojo show. So I'm very excited to have you all here. I am honored, and it's a blessing, and a privilege to be your Hollywood mental health expert. We're going to be talking about autism today. And also, I do want to mention that the reason why we're having this stream in the daytime is because tonight, I'm going to be at a premiere for a movie called Ezra, which has to do with an autistic boy and his father, who's a comedian. And they're traveling the country. It's a great movie. This is the first neurodivergent affirming film in Hollywood. So I just want to thank everybody who's been following me for the past couple of years. Collectively, we've built a community here where we're more vocal about the things that we're going through. And now the people in Hollywood are starting to take notice of these things. And I'm very excited. I love content creation. I love film. I love, things in the industry that have to do with promoting mental health awareness. So all of the work that we've done, all of the comments that you've left, all of the support, everything is starting to have a cumulative effect. Can't talk this morning. And I'm very excited because the struggles that we all go through on a daily basis, once people understand these things, it's going to be easier for people to communicate with us, and we don't have to struggle in silence as much. So I'm very excited about the work that we're doing here, and I can't wait to get into it. So before we start this live stream, I see a couple of people dropping some comments there. Hi, Nanya. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Hope. How are we doing? I'm going to go grab some water real quick, but as I grab water, I want you all to go ahead and use the comment section to introduce yourself and let me know where you're checking in from. Like I said, my name is Kojo Sarfo. I'm checking in from sunny Los Angeles, California. It's going to be a fantastic day, and I'm very excited that you all are here with me. Let me go grab this water. I'm going to leave Hope's comment up here real quick. How about that drop? I told the light away. We're the dirty K. I came through dripping in another chain on. All right, so we got Brandy checking in from Houston, Texas. Brandy, how are you doing? Michaela is checking in from Redding, California. Michaela Shockey, I'm very glad that you are here this morning. Lynn, how are you doing? Margaret, very happy to see you. Got a new cat. Okay. Well, that's exciting. I'm sorry you didn't get that much sleep. Alu Cardian 101 is checking in from YouTube. I want to thank my YouTube family. We're growing quickly over there, getting closer to 200,000 subscribers. So thank you to my YouTube family. Andrew's checking in from the UK. We have Captain Barbosa checking in from Sweden. That's exciting. And Margaret said, this is exactly what I needed. Margaret, my goal is to give you exactly what you were looking for. Scotland in the house. Okay. Adrienne, Dallas, Georgia, from the home team. Awesome. So as people start to file in, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get the first thing that I want to put here. So this is what your autistic friends wish you knew. So this is a great way to understand your autistic friends. And if you're autistic as well, this is probably a good way for you to understand yourself and to not be too hard on yourself. Margaret says, you were on TV the last time I saw you. Awesome to be here. Margaret, thank you very much. I'm not sure if you were talking about ABC 7 LA or the Netflix thing I did with John Mulaney, but either way, I'm just so blessed to be here. I'm so blessed to be here. Michaela says, thanks so much. You've definitely helped me, educated me, and helped me not feel so alone. Michaela, I really appreciate that. And those words, it means a lot to me. Every time I see a comment like that, I will never get used to that. So thank you so much. That means a lot to me, Michaela. Y'all keep coming in with the love. I appreciate you, Ashley. Helping me towards my own ADHD diagnosis. Love your videos. Ashley from British Columbia in Canada. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. Yeah. Y'all want to overwhelm me with emotion. I really appreciate y'all. So the number one thing, these are not in any particular order, by the way, but the first thing that your autistic friends wished that you knew about them is that isolation is, I meant to say, sometimes necessary. That's a typo right there. Sometimes. I don't like typos, so I'm going to fix that. Sometimes necessary. Look, I'm making double typos. I put a one in and one there. What am I doing? What am I doing this morning? Mickey, Ficky. Isolation is sometimes necessary to recharge. So, what your autistic friends will tell you, or what they may not tell you, is that being autistic in a world that is designed for neurotypical people is draining. It doesn't mean that you are draining. That you might be draining and annoying, but I doubt that. It's just the world as it is. This is a world where if you're neurodivergent, you're going to need accommodations in order to thrive. I have to have accommodations. If you're watching, you can relate. You probably have to have accommodations. Now, the accommodations may vary. It might be a 504 or IAP when you're a kid. When you're an adult, it could be something like a handicap parking, or extra time on your tests in college. We all need these different accommodations. So it's very draining to be in a world that's not designed for people like us, right? Someone like you. So in order to be in this world and to survive and to do all these things and to have all these social conversations with people, it's going to take something out of you. It's going to come at a great emotional cost. You're going to have to pay for it. So a lot of times your autistic friends, your ADHD friends as well, may isolate and withdraw to recharge. Think of your autistic friends as a Tesla battery. They're going to have to go somewhere and recharge at some point. You can't drive that car all over town. You have to recharge it somewhere. You can recharge at home. You can recharge at the Tesla supercharger area, but you have to recharge at some point. And I do want to say this about isolation. It's sometimes, because I'm not a fan of isolation at all. It's not healthy for us. We need to be interacting with people. But sometimes when you are burnt out, you may have to retreat, take a beat, catch your breath, and then come back out there. But if you can relate to this and you have to isolate from time to time to put up with people or to live in this neurotypical world, that is okay. Just make sure that you don't stay down for too long. You stay down for a little bit, okay. Like, we recharge, we go back out there. If you're autistic, if you have ADHD, or anybody who's getting burnt out here consistently, if you're burnt out, it doesn't mean that you need a couple of weeks off of work. It means that you need a whole new way to live. You need a brand new way of living. And we have to switch some things up. Until you do that, you're going to run into a lot of issues. But, we take things a day at a time. A day at a time. And Katie's saying redundancy is sometimes necessary. And Katie, I'll mention this. So we know, or we may not know, that a lot of autistic people tend to do the same things over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? It's so repetitive. But a lot of great things are built with repetition, over and over and over and over again. The good thing about this is when you do this, you reduce the decision fatigue, and you have a good routine of how to go about your day. The thing is, if you have ADHD as well, then if you have ADHD and autism, you might have a routine, but then part of you hates that routine. So it can be interesting sometimes. I got diagnosed 2 years ago as an adult, and you've helped me so much. Che, I appreciate you. Che, thank you so much. Noni has a question. We will take questions in the middle of the stream because I decided. So I'm still going to give you all the three things, but drop your questions in anyway. I have questions. How is autism different from ADHD? Can ADHD and autism coexist in the same individual? I was diagnosed with bipolar comorbid with ADHD in 2019. So None of Your Business is a fantastic name. I like that right there. All right, let me answer your questions. Number one, how does autism differ from ADHD? So you have to understand that autism and ADHD are both neurodevelopmental mental health conditions. So meaning that more than likely you were born this way. Autism tends to present a bit earlier than ADHD, only because autism is a condition which means that you communicate with the world differently. Some people are kind of verbal, some people are not verbal. Some people communicate with gestures and pointing and sign language. And some people have a hard time with eye contact. Some people, autism is a spectrum, all right? So with ADHD is a disorder that means that you struggle to regulate your attention and your mood. So that's ADHD right there. You have a hard time regulating your attention. You have a hard time regulating your mood. Now, it's funny because autism can make you struggle with those two things as well, but let's not get confused. ADHD is You have a hard time regulating your mood and a hard time regulating your attention. Both of them are brain-based disorders. This is how you are born. The reason why autism is diagnosed, earlier is because, by the time somebody's 2, 3, 4, you can understand that the child is not communicating the way that other kids communicate. So you can tell that something is going on. Sometimes, a lot of times it's not, caught at that time. But normally autism is diagnosed earlier than ADHD. And ADHD sometimes doesn't, become a thing until the child goes to school and, they're having issues, with their temper or, they're failing classes. That's when people start to be like, I think something's going on. So, but really, really good question. So autism is the way you communicate with the world is different. ADHD is you struggle to regulate your attention and your mood. And you can have both of these. And sometimes the symptoms look a lot like the other condition. So it gets confusing. And this is why you have people like me to do the legwork so you don't have to do the work. Can ADHD and autism coexist in the same individual? So yeah, that's a thing. You can also have bipolar disorder, ADHD, and autism. You can have all these three things at the same time. That is possible. I was diagnosed with bipolar comorbid with ADHD in 2019. Okay. Now I will say this: a lot of times women are misdiagnosed with a mood disorder like bipolar disorder or depression, instead of being diagnosed with the appropriate diagnosis, which is sometimes autism or ADHD. But you could have bipolar, ADHD, and autism, so it gets confusing. But one thing that you should do is talk to your doctor, talk to your provider, whoever diagnosed you, and ask them this simple question. Say, hey doc, this is Mrs. Business here. You diagnosed me with bipolar and ADHD in 2019. Can you explain to me why you gave me those diagnoses? And bipolar disorder is a condition where the main distinguishing feature is mania. Mania. So this is elevated mood, rapid, talking. Decisions aren't well thought out. They can have painful consequences. You can see psychosis sometimes in mania. That's in a full-blown manic episode. Then you can have a hypomanic episode where is these bursts of productivity where you get so productive and sometimes you fall back into a cycle of depression. So it gets a bit complicated, but I hope I made it a little bit easier for you. But that's what's going on. What's up, V? Yeah. ALEX, they thought I was talking to them. Kate says, yes, I have both. And I was making, Katie, I saw that. The 1.1, I was tripping. Let me see. After work or something else, I have to recharge, or it's a rough night for me and everyone else. It's helped me so much. So, Adrienne, so the first thing that your autistic friend wish you knew is sometimes isolation is necessary. Because you're able to verbalize this and you can articulate your thoughts, you can let your family know, hey, I just came back from work. It was a long day, and just give me some time before I can come out. I need some time. And as guys, we struggle to do this sometimes, where we'll finish a long day of work and we'll come home and the lady will be like, I want to hug you. I want to hug you. Come on. And then we're like, I just want you to die. And it's not that we want you to die. We just don't know how to articulate our thoughts. And if you're a guy, you're undiagnosed on the spectrum, then you don't know why you're feeling so frustrated. It's not that you don't love the woman. You just need some time to yourself. So that's why these conversations are so important, because people break up over this stuff. And then they come back after the fact and like, damn, that was my person. But I just didn't know how to speak up for myself. I'm ADHD and maybe high functioning. Today they assess me. They always want to give me drugs. I don't like them. So with ADHD, you don't always have to take medications. They can be extremely helpful though. So I do want to mention that. ADHD and BPD here. Yeah, talk to them. Autism, OCD. Yeah. I love that explanation. Something's a bit hanky. Right. I know I'm autistic. And look, there's a lot of people like this who know that they're autistic and they don't want to get assessed. I think that's okay. If you don't want to get an assessment and you relate to the condition, that's fine. Because if you self-diagnose, I'm not telling you to self-diagnose. Don't take my words out of context, please. But if you self-diagnose and you identify with autism, then what you're going to do is you're going to start doing things as if, you're going to start getting help from people. You're going to start looking for help the same way that somebody who goes into the clinic and gets a diagnosis would. So, you self-diagnose yourself with autism, and then you start to look into books and resources and videos. And oftentimes your life improves because you're getting these accommodations. Obviously, if you can get a proper diagnosis, that would be ideal. But the world that we live in, Latrice, this is completely correct. Mood disorders can be misdiagnosed and or confused with trauma. That is correct. I was diagnosed with bipolar, but I feel maybe autistic. My 17-month-old baby is displaying signs of autism. So this is more common than you think. A lot of times people will see the signs of autism in their kids, and then they're like, you know what? I think something's going on. Ms. Business says that they'll bring up with their psych. That's awesome. That's awesome. Alejandro, a therapist here in LA. So I'll speak on this. Alejandro, LA is big, as you know. LA is so huge. What I would say is put in your zip code into Psychology Today, and see if you can find a therapist that way. Maybe you can find somebody in your area, or keep in mind that if you're in the state of California, you can find a therapist who can do telepsych work with you, so they can talk to you over Zoom. Just that you have to be in California. They have to have a license for the state of California. It can get kind of complicated, but yeah, hopefully that works out. When I'm overstimulated, I tell my family I need to social distance for a minute. And Candace, you saying that is great because you're able to speak up for yourself. It's so huge. And Chase said, I had no idea. Now it makes so much sense. Right. When it starts to make sense, you're like, it's finally starting to make sense. It's finally starting to make sense. Let me drop the second tip in here, and then I'll answer some more questions. All right. The second thing that your autistic friends wished you knew. Drop by my leg. Autonomy is important, and the way you talk matters. Autonomy is important, and the way you talk to them matters. Why do I say this? I say this because autism is one of the more disabling mental health conditions out there, but you can't really see it. So if somebody's in a wheelchair, if somebody's in a wheelchair and I see them like out in the distance, like I know, okay, if I'm walking and I'm in front of them, I'm gonna hold the door open because they're in a wheelchair. So they would appreciate that. I hold the door open, they wheel through. Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. That's a thoughtful thing. But I could see that they were in a wheelchair, so I was able to do that for them. You can't see that somebody's autistic, so you don't know to maybe talk a little slower to them, to explain things to them, to not be making all this noise. Sometimes your autistic friends are sitting there and they're just suffering, in silence amidst the chaos, and you're like, and, you're just making all this noise, just living your life, and they're like, the sensory overload is meltdowns that can lead to frustrations, that can lead to outbursts. And sometimes that outburst, you go to a clinician and they'll say, oh, this kid has ADHD because they have a hard time managing their emotions, but like I said, the symptoms can look the same. So that's why you have to really get to the bottom of what is making that person feel that way. So autonomy is very important for your autistic friends because a lot of their life revolves around them having to get help from people, them having to say, hey, turn the lights down low, be a little bit more quiet. At school, you have to have this accommodation. You have to have this. You have to be in a special class. And it gets so frustrating. And then at some point, you're like, you ask yourself, can I even do anything for myself? Am I able to be a functioning person? Because if you keep realizing that you're always asking for help, then it's going to make you feel as if you're defective sometimes. So that's why autonomy is important. If you have an autistic friend or autistic, spouse or an autistic son or daughter, if there's something that they can do for themselves, let them do it for themselves. You don't have to step in and do everything. This is mainly something that parents kind of struggle with. They want to do it for the kids. No, let the kid do it for themselves. They can do it. If this is one of the few things that they're really good at and they can do for themselves, you have to let them. Well, you don't have to, but it'd be helpful if you let them do it for themselves because it's going to increase their confidence. And then they're going to be thinking to themselves, oh wow, like I can do a lot of things, just not everything. I can do a lot of things, but like over here and over there, I'm gonna need a little bit of help. And the confidence starts to grow. The way that you talk also matters. You know, we talk about PDA, which I've seen somebody describe as pervasive drive for autonomy. It's pathological demand avoidance, but a lot of times you realize that the way you say something is important. Hey, go do those dishes. I'd appreciate it if you help me out with some of the chores in the house. Which one of the chores do you feel like you're really good at? Oh, I'll do the dishes. It's kind of like when you were about to do the dishes and then your mom was like, hey, do the dishes. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. I used to hate that. Growing up, I used to, have those random days where I was like, all right, I'm going to clean the house. The moment I started to clean, my mom's like, you better be cleaning. I'm like, okay, that's it. That's it. It was going to be your lucky day, but I'm done. I'm done now. I'm done now. Lathan Thomason, my son and I are autistic. I don't need people to speak slower to me. I just sometimes need to process what was said before I react or respond. I'm not slow mentally, just process differently. Lathan Thomason, I'm going to go ahead and give you a love of the show. I like this because when somebody who's autistic is telling you what they need, you have to listen. So I need to listen to what Lathan's saying here. So she's saying that she doesn't need people to speak slower to her. So you don't have to speak slow, or at least for her. Because if you speak slow to her, it can come off as condescending. Like, do you need something today? She's not a baby. Maybe some people will prefer that, but she doesn't. She has to process what was said before she reacts or responds. And I like that. I love that because a lot of times you'll do things when you're on the spectrum, and then after the fact, you realize, hold up, that's not what I wanted to do. That decision didn't reflect who I am or what I believe or even what I wanted to do in that moment. But you didn't know how you felt. So it's better, in my opinion, to just take a pause, just figure out, what do I believe about this? What do I want to do? What do I want to say? And sometimes if you don't have a response, that's fine. There's all these different social norms that we have that don't make sense to me. Somebody asks you a question and you feel like you have to reply right away. No, we need time to think about this. And it's funny because in life, we don't realize how much we're trained to lie. We're trained to lie with a lot of things socially. So somebody who is forthcoming and, a lot of times autistic people will tell you exactly what's in their mind. It can get you in trouble. Like real quick, I was on the phone with Progressive the other day, and I was just trying to see what the rates will look like if I put my little brother on my car insurance. They're talking to me while I'm talking to Progressive. They're asking me who's in the household, and I'm just like, oh, well, my brother's in the house, or my grandma's in the house. Tell me how they increased my car insurance because my grandma and my brother are in the house. Now they don't live with me. I was just trying to get some rates, but I just say, oh, my grandma and my little brother live with me. Then they send me excluded driver form for me to sign. I said, I'm not going to sign that. They're like, oh, because two people live in the house with you, there's a chance that they could drive your car, and we have to increase your car insurance. I'm like, you know what? First of all, I'm going to cancel my insurance policy. I'm never working with y'all again. Number two, y'all trained me to lie. And number three, if y'all see my grandma, my 93-year-old grandma, driving anywhere on the highway in the United States, in a beat up Pinto or anything like that, I'll give you everything I have, because there's no way that that's happening. My grandma is not, she's over 90. She can't drive. But I've been trained to tell you a lie, because if I tell you the truth, you're going to try and increase my car insurance for no reason. And me having ADHD, I'm going to be living life, and I'm going to look at my bill, and I'm going to be like, whoa, this bill was not this high. Y'all are playing tricks on me. Y'all are really trying to play tricks on me. And Jeannie, I guess this might be an insurance thing, but it trains people to lie. Because if I tell you the truth, you're going to raise my car insurance. I like the autistic way of doing things. I like just telling the truth instead of having to either lie here or lie there. It does feel a little bit shady. Or maybe that's just my autistic sense of justice. I don't know. Margaret, it's good to be here as well. Sharon, how are you doing? Long time, miss you. Austin, what's going on? What's up, Austin? Jay, this is a really good one. How are you? Because there's only one socially acceptable answer to this, and that answer is, I'm doing good. Thank you. I'm good. If people told you the truth, you would stop asking that question. How are you? Like, how are you really? Well, I'm not doing too good. Some of my family, they're sick right now. I got to pay this bill, and I just failed this class. The person that asks you how are you doing is gonna be like, oh my gosh, I just said it to be like nice and like to be like socially like appropriate, but I didn't really want to know how you're doing. So how are you is a loaded question, but we ask it all the time, and we always expect, oh, I'm fine, I'm good, oh, I'm good, yeah, I'm good. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Right, it would be Debbie Downers. What are we doing here? Jaden, my email, assistant@kojosarfo.com. Please send an email to my assistant and screenshot this so that way he can know that you were on the morning show, and then we can try our best to not to get you on, but to have me on. I don't really look at my schedule anymore. I let the team take care of that. But thank you so much, Jaden. I really appreciate that. Now, I love to be on your show, and I love to know a little bit more about it. I struggle with the social training to lie. And look, if you're autistic and you have propensity to tell the truth, just tell the truth. But see, the thing is, you have to figure out what things you have to lie about. It's so weird. You have to figure out a couple of things to lie about. And I hate to say it, but it's a way of survival. Because if you tell the truth all the time, how are you? Oh, well, school's not going too well right now. If you keep telling the truth to everybody, they're gonna be like, this person, what's going on with them? The whole time you're the only honest person there. I did eat breakfast, Margaret, and I got me some Chick-fil-A too. I had a turkey sandwich. Yes, I can type out the email. And if you emailed me a long time ago, you didn't get a response. I get a lot of emails, and it's really difficult to keep up with them. And I'm even letting my team take care of emails because I'm a control freak and I like to look at everything, but I start to burn out when I try and control everything. So I'm learning to take my own advice. Brandy, okay, I think Brandy was okay. All right, so the third thing that your autistic friends wished you knew. Take a sip of this water. It's almost time for the water break, which is coming at the right time. I'll take a little sip. I'll take a little sip. Take a little sip. This is a little sip. A non-official gulp. Well, if the water break is going to be 90 seconds, I'll just take a little sip. All right, let me explain this real quick, and then I'll drop the third one. And so the specific criteria for autism, there's a couple of different things. And I think what y'all might want is y'all might want me to put the whole criteria on the screen so you can read it out. So I will learn how to do that for StreamYard, and I will actually, we'll have a live stream where we break down the specific criteria for autism and how they apply to adults, because that second part, how they apply to adults, that's the part that in medicine and psychiatry and psychology we're still trying to figure out, because the criteria, in my opinion, is meant to really diagnose kids, but for adults who they missed the diagnosis, getting a diagnosis early in their life, I do think that we have to not that the criteria has to change, but we have to become a little bit better at spotting that. Sabrina, I appreciate you. Thank you, Sabrina. Lovely family you have there. Smiling kids, smiling mom. I had to learn to just say I'm good, but sometimes I forget. People get confused like lots of scripts. Sue, thank you so much. All right, so it's time for the water break. Can somebody drop the magic word in the chat so we can get a couple sips of water, and then I'll drop the third thing that your autistic friend wished you knew. Ooh, Latrice, just ooh. Maybe they have to get me when it's time to write the DSM 6, because there's a couple of things, and whenever it's time to write the DSM 6, it may change because social media and technology is changing the way we communicate. And autism is a condition where you struggle to communicate with the world as it is, but the world's changing so fast. So I gotta think about that, but there needs to be some updates. All right, cheers. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Big cheers. Time for the water break. A lot of us forget to drink water. So this is just your daily reminder to drink water. This is also a great time to take your medications. So if you forgot to take your medications now, now is a great time to go ahead and take them. So let's drink up, y'all. Ooh, I needed that. I did remember to take my medication this morning, but I didn't drink enough water. I needed some water. So, a couple of questions here, real quick. It's ADHD and borderline personality disorder. Is it common? I don't know what you mean by common. Common means like the norm. So I don't know if it's common, but I've seen this a lot. So you can't have both. Why am I scared to find out I may have autism in addition to ADHD? I see and hear so much about it. It's become more common to hear about adults being diagnosed. Why? Crystal, great question. So first things first, the reason why you're afraid to find out that you might be autistic is because when you say you're autistic to people, like I really think that people's first thought is that they go to Down syndrome. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a me thing, but when people hear autism, a lot of people think Down syndrome. I don't know why. So people have this thing in their head about what autism looks like. So when you say that you're autistic, then it's kind of off-putting. But it's not because of you, but it's because of their lack of knowledge about what the condition is. So if you say, "Well, I'm autistic," they're like, "Oh, well, I didn't know that. You don't look like you're autistic." And then you have to explain to them, blah, 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 blah. Autism is a condition that affects the way you communicate with the world, and it doesn't mean that you're better or worse, and so on and so forth. Or they have to go do their own homework about it. So that stigma is so somewhat heavier with autism. I think people are much more comfortable saying, "Oh, I have ADHD," but autism and also schizophrenia are two conditions where I find that people are a bit hesitant to talk about those two. And it's becoming more, adults are being diagnosed with it more because of more awareness, number one. I think we know more about what autism looks like. And there's a couple of different theories. Sometimes people say that, if your father was, if when males have kids later in life, that there's a chance that the kids could be autistic. The evidence is kind of like iffy with that. I've seen some that supports that and some that's like, I'm not too sure. But overall, I think we have so much more knowledge about the condition now, which is why people are being diagnosed, which is good, which is good. I've not seen the movie Rain Man, but I need to see it. I need to see Rain Man. And Ira, thank you. I really think that people think autism is Down syndrome. I don't know why, but you'll be shocked at how many people think autism means Down syndrome. So I was diagnosed with ADHD as a child. First symptoms, joint problems in the 40s. That's interesting. I need to look into that. All right. This is the third thing that your autistic friends wished you knew. Autism is a different language, and everyone can make an effort to learn how to communicate with their autistic loved ones. So some people speak Japanese, some people speak Chinese, some people speak. And found. I should have seen Rain Man by now, so that's all me. That's all me. Some people speak Spanish. People speak Portuguese. I have to remind myself that Spanish and Portuguese are two different things. But there's all these different languages that we all speak. Autism is its own language and is different for every person. So in my work with autistic kids, I've learned that there's different ways to communicate. Some of them will point, some of them will clap, some of them will gesture, some of them will use sign language. Like I've learned a lot of sign language work with autistic kids. Like I learned that this is cookie, this is more. What else did I learn? I've learned a couple of things. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So there's different ways to communicate with your autistic friends. If they're verbal, you know, that's fine. You can talk to them. But even the way you talk to them is going to be, you know, tailored to how that person likes to be addressed, how they see themselves. And it sounds like there's a lot of work on your end, but it's just you really asking them and talking to them. And over time, you pick up on their cadence and, you know, how they communicate. And you learn to talk to that person in a way that they can be truthful, where they don't feel like they're being judged, and where they can be in a space where they feel like they are themselves. That's very key. It's very key. It's just a different language. That's what I've come to find out. It's just a different language. We need a Duolingo for autism. Why is there Duolingo for all these different languages, but there's not one for autism? There's a way to communicate. A lot of it can be sensory. You know, you have the AAC devices. I don't know too much about that, but I've been learning about that from some of my friends who are speech therapists. But there's so many different ways to communicate, and once you allow that person to communicate, you get the best of that person. You really do get the best of them, because now they can communicate and they can let you know how they feel. It's a beautiful thing when communication is an open thing. I think it's awesome. I gotta go watch Rain Man. I gotta go watch Rain Man. I gotta go watch it. That you don't look autistic or not, you're not autistic, shout at me every time. It's honestly so disrespectful. Bones, you know what? You're all right. It actually is disrespectful. They don't know that they're doing that though. That's the thing. Because autism doesn't have a look. I know one of my jokes that I like to tell when I talk about my autistic ex-girlfriend. Before I even get into the joke, people are laughing because they hear autistic ex-girlfriend. And I'm like, yo, my ex she was really pretty. She was really pretty. But people think autism, like, oh my gosh, she has autism. I'm like, no, she was pretty. Y'all don't know because in your head you're thinking Down syndrome or something like that. But Bones, if you can, don't take it personally because they don't know. They really think that autism is like you're missing a chromosome or like they don't know. So it's up to us to send them some YouTube shorts, some Facebook reels, some Instagram reels, and help to educate them. Cashmere, I appreciate you as well. How to work with individuals who prefer nonverbal communication to learn their language in a safe space. So Latrice, this is something that I think we should all be talking about. And you have to exhibit a lot of patience, because when you're talking to somebody like Latrice, if you spoke a different language, let's say you spoke Portuguese and I'm in Spain and I'm talking to you, Latrice, I'm going to be frustrated because, you know, I'm going to be talking with my hands like, I want to go to, I need food, restaurant, food, but I don't know Portuguese. So I'm using my hands and I'm going to get frustrated at some point. So we have to be patient when learning how to work and communicate with individuals who prefer nonverbal communication. And Cashmere, I gotta give you a love of the show for this one. It feels great to be understood, and there's a different level of intimacy that comes when you aim to understand somebody. Like everybody says, "Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you," but do you understand me though? You say you love me, but do you understand me, like for real? Or are you making an attempt to understand me? Because when you get to that level, I like it. My son is 4, nonverbal, and has violent moments. Help. So Danielle, let me say this. So he's 4, nonverbal, has violent moments. A lot of times, the aggression that's coming from autism is coming from the inability to communicate what you're feeling. Once again, I've said communication like 11 million times in this live stream because that's what autism is. You struggle to communicate with the world because the world speaks a different language. So Danielle, think about this. If you went 4 years where you couldn't communicate with anybody, you'd want to punch a wall as well. So helping your son communicate his thoughts, whether it's through a speech therapist, BCBA, whatever they have in your area. As he learns to communicate his thoughts better, the chances that he becomes less and less aggressive is much more likely. So hopefully that can help out. I hope that helps out. And Margaret, yeah, school doesn't teach this. They teach you how to, write cursive. They told me that if if I don't learn how to write cursive in 5th grade, I'll never make it to 6th grade, and I'll never make it to 7th grade, and I'll be stuck in 5th grade forever. So guess what? I'll learn how to write cursive, and my cursive is better than my regular handwriting, because I thought that if I didn't write cursive or learn to write cursive, I was going to be held back in 5th grade in Florida for the rest of my life. So cursive was, helpful to pick up, but they need to be teaching this type of stuff in school. They need to be teaching this stuff in school. You think autism is an adaptive trait developing to keep up with ever-changing digital and electronic world? Sabrina, respectfully, I don't. But I can see the thought process, but I don't think that. I think we should all be talking about how late diagnosed autistic parents are affected and how their kids are affected by the inevitable burnout. Ooh. Mothers and fathers need more support, especially if they found out after they had children. Judith, I completely agree. I agree. I don't disagree with this statement. That's true, because when you're diagnosed later in life with anything, you have to sometimes grieve the person that you thought you could be, and good or bad. But you have to just make peace with the fact that you now understand yourself on a level that you didn't understand back in the day. So a lot of it is doing your best to forgive yourself, and then picking up the pieces and then figuring out how you can love yourself and how you can advocate for yourself in the future going forward, and how you can do that for your child right now. Because your child has a bit of a leg up on you, because they know themselves, so they can go through life, advocating and articulating their thoughts a bit better than you were. But yeah, this is something we got to talk about. Ciolo, so we lived in Jacksonville, Florida. I think I went to Greenland Pines Elementary School. But we lived in Jacksonville for like a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah, Jacksonville, Florida. I'm from Florida as well. I'm not from. I just went to Florida for. I just lived in Florida for a couple of years. I love Florida though. Using signs and pictures really helps for nonverbal people, especially kids and toddlers. And Laura, this is helpful for a lot of people. It's helpful for a lot of people. Like if you look at my live stream right now, there's a reason why the borders are, navy blue. To side right here, and then up right here you have Laura Bradshaw. I do all this because I like colors. The Breakfast with Dr. Kojo sign, or is it right there? I like colors. I like things, like when things are color coded, it's easier for me. I'm not saying I'm autistic. I don't know, but I like when things are easy and it's colorful and there's signs and there's pictures. There's a reason why stop signs are red and they're shaped that way. We all know what that looks like. We all know that means that it's time to like pause. Oh, Bay Meadows. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we used to stay I think it was an apartment complex called Bay Meadows where we stayed at in Jacksonville. Yo, Jacksonville, Florida. So you're from Jacksonville. Okay. Jacksonville Landing, St. Augustine. Yeah. Woo. That was a good time. Good time. I had a sister who used to live in Pace. I think that's close to Pensacola. So a lot of love for my Floridians. Dana, I've not read this book. I might need to look into it. Memes help me. How are we doing with time? Okay. All right. Dang. All right. All right, y'all. I gotta get going and head to my next thing. Okay. Dang. Oh my gosh. I could be on here over and over and over. But I have to head to my next thing. This is a great. What Crystal said real quick. The schools in Florida were awful. Well, Crystal, I'm happy you got the help. I never got to go to high school in Florida, so I'm not sure what the high school scene was like in Florida. We left in middle school. But I'm happy you're doing better now. But all right, y'all, I gotta head out. It's gonna be a good day. I have a long list of things to do. But I just want to thank you all for your support, all the comments and the love and the feedback, the sharing of the videos and the reels and all of that. I really do truly appreciate it. And I think something special happens when you can turn on the TV or you open up your phone and you see people who are going through the same things that you were going through, and they're thriving and they're doing well, because we have to see people sometimes do well and excel. People who are like us, people who have the same conditions that we have, people who look like us. When we see that, it gives us hope and it lets us know that we can do great things as well. So I'm very proud about the community that we built here collectively, and I'm going to a movie premiere tonight for a movie called Ezra. Has Whoopi Goldberg in there, Robert De Niro, a couple of other notable people. And in this movie, it talks about uh, a young boy with autism, young autistic boy, and his dad, who's a comedian. And they talk about, parenting a child who's on the spectrum. And I just love the way the movie, illustrated the meltdowns, the child's need to be by himself, the misunderstanding about autism. I think it was a great way to really talk about autism at that high of a level here in Hollywood. So whenever that movie comes out, I'll be promoting it, and hopefully you all can go out and watch it. But if not, I appreciate your attention, and just thank you so much for your feedback. And this community is something that I think the people who haven't found it yet, once they find it, they're going to find a lot of peace here. And the people who are here, I'm just very happy to be a part of this community. It means a lot to me. So I just want to say I really appreciate you all. I love y'all, and y'all have a fantastic day. And I'll see you all on the live stream a little bit later this week. I want to do a couple more live streams before my sister gets into town and I spend some time with her. But I want to get some live streams going probably tomorrow. So take care. Love y'all. Thank you, Crystal. Let's have an awesome day, y'all.